We honor those who gave birth to us. With them, we watch the spectacle of the moving mists. They have opened their sacred books to sing with us. They are the mystery that envelops our dreams. We sing the anthems that celebrate their great eras. For indeed, life does not begin with us.
We had always wanted to tell the story of the House of Mandela without necessarily politicizing it. Because my grandfather had always regaled us with stories of when he was a young man, where he grew up, what formed him as a human being, and how he became, the person that he became. So we wanted, as children and grandchildren, we wanted to continue that story. People think, when they think of Nelson Mandela, when they hear of Nelson Mandela, they think that he just fell from the sky. He has no sense of place, but he's a father, he's a grandfather, he's a son, he's a brother, he's an uncle, and we wanted to tell that story.
When my dad turned 85, we were sitting around with my brother thinking about what's the greatest gift that we can give him as his children, because he had been given so many great gifts around the world. And when we're discussing his Xhosa name, Kholihlahla, which means one who's brave enough to go and get honey from a honeycomb. Colloquially meaning one who's brave enough to challenge the status quo. Through a lot of research and talking to older people at home, we have discovered that the bee is actually a totem symbol of the Mandelas. It represents very much a sacred place in the Mandela, the Madiba, the Tembu homestead, because bees are actually our ancestors. And there's a beautiful story that is always told that when my father was released from jail in 1990, and he went home, from the airport, from Tata Airport until home, he was followed by a swarm of bees. So that's the sacred place that they stand. So the body of the bee actually represents the Mandela family. The wings of the bee represent the tree of life, our family tree. And also they represent that we are of peasant agricultural stock, who are people of the land, who are people of the soil. We have a great affinity with the soil and land in this House of Mandela. And this is how the story began.
To forget one's ancestors is to be a river without a source, a tree without roots.
The Mandela family as a people comes from the humble village of Mvezo. We are of the Tembu people. And in fact, our role as a family has been in the chieftaincy. And as the left-hand house, we are responsible for settling disputes within the royal family. So there's the main royal house, and there's the right-hand house, and as a left-hand house, we then take on that responsibility. The name that my great-grandfather is known for is actually one of our praise names, Madiba. It's a name that is called upon as part of a welcome ceremony. So when someone arrives at any traditional gathering, they generally have a mbongi, which is a praise singer who will then introduce the person. And that is a series of citing of a number of the names, which will help in tracing the lineage of a family.
Where there is no wine, there is no great love. And where there is no passion, there is no great wine.
Wine is about agriculture in this country. It actually helps a lot of people in this country. There's a significant number of people, especially black people, who are employed in the wine industry. When you want to produce good wine, you actually have to have a love of the soil, a love of the land. You have to tend the soil, you have to tend the vine, because it will produce a certain kind of grape for you that makes sure that you produce good quality wine.
Our journey through the winelands in South Africa was quite an education for myself, my mother, and my family, because initially we didn't necessarily know anything about wine. But what we did is we hired a master of wine. Her name was Lynn Sheriff. And we said to her, we had requirements in terms of who we wanted to produce the wines on our behalf. We were very clear about the fact that we wanted the wineries to treat their employees with dignity and respect. We wanted wineries that were going to maintain the biodiversity of South Africa for generations to come. And we wanted wineries ultimately that produce really good wines. And we're family-owned wineries because we're a family-owned business. So along with Lynn, we interviewed about 33 wineries. And initially, we chose 3 wineries which produced the Royal Reserve for us.
So the Chardonnay was produced by Thelema.
The Cabernet Sauvignon, which was produced by Hattenberg, and the Shiraz, which was produced by Fairview. So the next step after the Royal Reserve, after launching the Royal Reserve, which is our super premium range of wines, we decided to launch a more affordable range of wines because we want these wines ultimately to be available to everyone. And the work, for our project had begun in earnest. So we decided to partner up with Erasmus Wines. And Erlang Erasmus is our winemaker. And he manages the entire process for us. Obviously, as a family, we go through a rigorous tasting process because we would never sell anything that we don't like. So all the wines that you have in these ranges are wines that were specifically chosen by the family and that the family likes. So in terms of the Tembo collection, we wanted wines that were everyday, easy drinking wines. And we wanted everything about the wines to reflect that. So you will see in the Tembo collection that we have very interesting labels, and those labels were actually inspired by my grandfather's what you call Madiba shirts, because my grandfather felt very constricted in his suit. He wanted to be more accessible and laid back as a leader, and that's actually the styles of the wines as well. So we used his shirts as inspiration for the labels. The Tembus, by their nature, were very welcoming and easygoing people, and that's why we call the wines the Tembo collection. And we're Tembus ourselves. All those personal touches are very important to us when we create these wines. And actually, those personal touches will be important in anything that we create under the House of Mandela. So with the Tembo collection of wines, we have 6 varietals. We have a Chardonnay, a Sauvignon Blanc, and a Chenin Blanc. With the reds, we have a Shiraz, a Pinotage, and a Cabernet Sauvignon. And all these wines are fair trade wines, and we did that deliberately because we wanted to pay homage to the people that actually create these wines. We also have a sparkling, a Brut Method Cup Classique, and that also has an interesting label. As I said, everything that goes on the wines is personalized. It's things that mean something to the family. You will see that it's got dots on the label, and those actually reflect our elaborate Xhosa traditional wear. That we wear for weddings, any type of celebration. And as a family, we celebrate everything. So it was quite important for us to have a sparkling, which we thought suited the range very well. So my family and I celebrate somebody passing at school, somebody getting a promotion, somebody getting married, somebody getting a baby. Like I said, we celebrate everything. So it was quite important for us to add a sparkling to the collection.
Madiba, Yim Yim, Zondra Zinjaba, we are here.